6 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. I've asked Commissioner Bennett if he would lead us in our prayer tonight.
Lord Jesus, we just want to thank you for today, Lord, and thank you for every day. Lord, we just thank you for our blessings and pray that you'll just continue to bless us through our lives each and every day. And Lord, when we get out of bed every morning, I just thank you, and I hope everyone else does. Because we've had some tragedies in our county in this past week. We lost a dear county member, a very respectable member of our county, Mr. Jimmy Meyerholtz, and we ask, Lord, that you'll keep them in your prayers as we go through this meeting, Lord, because he was a dear friend of mine, and I'm sure of many people of this county. Lord, we just thank you for keeping our freedoms and all the people that are fighting for our freedoms, the men and the women, just keep them safe. And Lord, please be with the families of those that have lost their loved ones to keep our freedoms. Lord, we're just so blessed. And we want to thank you for all the people out here today in our counties and our states that protect us, our firefighters, our law enforcement, and all the elected officials that guide and direct our countries, this country, in the right direction, Lord. Lord, we just can't say enough to thank you each and every day. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
All right. Let's all stand for pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll call to order our Tuesday, June the 11th, 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting. And first, I'd like to welcome each one here, whether you're here in person or you're on our YouTube channel, Hart County Board of Commissioners, or on HTC Channel 3. We welcome all of you. First on the agenda is approved agenda. Do we have any additions? Or
no additions.
You gonna talk about farm roads?
Well, if y'all, we've already approved it. We
Double check. I think we did.
all right. Well, yeah, if you want to, let's add the farm road widening under old business E, just to be sure.
We approved it about a month ago, I think it was.
I'm almost sure we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember, we approved me to get a price on what it was going to cost to do it, or
No,
go
we're
ahead and
just
do
going
it.
to widen
We
it.
said we're gonna go
Widen.
wide. We just take action, not just.
Okay.
All right, so we got the addition and under old business.
Yeah, the D, farm
12E,
road widening.
Farm road. All right, any other?
I approve the agenda with that addition.
Second.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Bennett, second by Commissioner Brown. All in favor? It's 5-0 vote. We'll move on to approve the minutes from previous meeting. Any additions or corrections to those minutes? If not, can we get a motion to approve?
There's a typo, I'm sorry.
All right, go.
Item 12B, on the bid award cheerleading uniforms. The second sentence, Commissioner Brown Teasley provided a second to the motion.
So we'll just strike Brown from that, and then we'll have it corrected.
I know you had Brown in you.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve with that correction.
Okay. Second. Motion by Commissioner Dorsey, second by Commissioner Teasley. We'll call for a vote. All in favor? It's a 5-0 vote. Then we'll move on to remarks by invited guests, committees, or authorities. We have none. Constitutional officers, department heads. Ms. Kim, have anything? Okay. We'll move on to county administrator's report, the main financial report.
Good question. The expenses for the month came in, revenue came in, $1,029,269. Expenses were $1,500,547,183, which is a little high, but I told you last month we'd have some quarterly payments coming out this month. I left a deficit, the monthly variance of $517,914. Year-to-date reserve is at $3,812,574. Real estate taxes came in as used. expect this time of year is $6,396. Lost was another good month, $381,104. EMS fees came in $115,844. Vehicle tag fees came in $155,091. For the year, we're 33% above on revenue and 3% under on expenditures so far. People had to answer any questions if you have them.
Isn't that the highest number we ever had on the loss?
I'd have to go back and look. I think if it's not, it's close.
2023 was the highest.
Yeah. If it's not, it's very close.
Yeah, I think it was.
The only other thing I got, just to let everybody know, we did move into the new jail. All
Cool.
the prisoners are there. Everything's going pretty good. There's a few little glitches here and there, but that's to be expected. But everybody's settled in and back to normal out there now. That's all I have.
I was gonna ask this, how we doing on Paynes Creek up there, money-wise?
It's making a profit. I'd have to go back and look at the number to be sure, but
They're pretty booked out.
yeah. Weekends, during the week, we still got some gaps, but it's booked out for 2 years already.
And that makes it kind of difficult to really know where you're at, because if all these people come in and cancel, you'd have to give them their money back. so-
Right, yeah, we have to keep all them ahead reservations in reserve. We can't
Right.
even think about it. But we got about $500,000 in investments out of the account, somewhere in that neighborhood, $400,000, $500,000 in investments. Any more questions?
All right, thank you, Terry. We'll go on to Chairman's report, and I would like to say I'd like to commend the Hart Chamber of Commerce for 75 years of success. It's like it took 75 years to get there, but we're there now. So they do a great job promoting our events and fishing tournaments, and I couldn't even begin to say cars and guitars and all those things that they do. And then we got the fireworks coming up pre-4th, so we appreciate what y'all do, and y'all do a tremendous job, and the county appreciates it. That's all I have. I move on to Commissioner Bennett, District 1.
I'd also like to commend the chamber. They do a wonderful job. Their team just works so hard at putting things together, and hopefully it won't rain on your fireworks. So, yeah, the rain started last December. I'd also like to thank all of the departments of Hart County, because it takes so many people to make the wheels go round here. Just every department, probate, clerk courts, magistrate, tax office, road departments, just everybody involved. Everybody does a great job, and in this BOC building, they do a great job here as well. And as far as my district, everything's running pretty smooth, and that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we'll move to District 2, Commissioner Teasley.
I appreciate our chamber as well, appreciate all our county employees, our public safety workers, appreciate everything they do, and all our county employees, and that's pretty much all I got for right now.
All right, we'll move on to District 4, Commissioner Brown.
Echoing the sentiments for the chamber. Thank you guys for everything you do, especially for the business side of things, promoting our small and local businesses. I know personally you guys have helped us out a lot, and we do appreciate that, and appreciate what you guys do there. I did want to take the time this meeting to just touch on a few things. One thing that should come no surprise, but undoubtedly the most critical issue facing our county, countywide, as well as our cities, is traffic, as well as the road issues. We have been talking about this since I've been on the board, as well as something in particular is TSPLOST. So TSPLOST is something that was brought up to several of us from the community, different community groups, as well as other members within our community, of ways we could combat the issues at hand and try to get, I guess you would say, ahead, but really, if we want to be realistic about where we're at, we would be trying to catch up. But we don't want to be in a situation where we've seen other communities and counties. One in particular is our neighbor of Anderson. You see where they have struggled trying to stay ahead of road impact from growth. This started well over a year ago, discussions on TSPLOST and the option of it being put out for referendum for the public to choose whether they would like to have this done or not. We have met with the city and other municipalities. It was last July, and we all have came to an agreement through that. It has been put off for some time, but I think that it's something that has been echoed to me. Well, I don't think, I hear this time and time again, week in, week out, that when are we going to do something about TSPLOST, when are we going to get the ball moving on it. I think it's adamant and it's very, I guess you would say, apparent to me that the citizens want something like this for them to choose and to make their voice be heard. And with that, I would like to make a motion that we as a board move forward with TSPLOST to put on this November ballot.
You putting that in form of motion?
That's a form of motion.
I'll second your motion.
I want to ask you guys if you would hold off till after tonight's meeting on that. There's some things we need to talk about, and it involves litigation. So I know there's been some brief discussions about it, and that's all I'm going to say. Because I think there's some things that need to be discussed before we get to that point.
Can I make a statement, suggestion? What we need to do is at some point to start with, I need a starting point. And y'all can actually be thinking on that to come back and tell me, like if you see dangerous intersections, anything like that you want me, the engineering group, to start on.
We got to have a detailed plan
Correct.
in place by the end of this month, really.
The thing about paving roads.
And then from that detailed plan, we have to have a signed governmental agreement that has to be signed and given to our attorney so we can then have a referendum.
Correct.
Really by the 1st of August. So
Well,
that's
no, July
kind of my,
29th. July 29th, last day that it can be publicized.
but as far as us giving the Board of Elections.
You've got
our-
3 meetings here to vote this in. So and if you don't, you're not going to get in.
That's
Actually,
kind of my
that's
urgency
it.
here is honestly guys, I mean, with this planning, we have discussed it a lot. There's no doubt about it. Terrell's worked a lot on this as well as on the background with the roads and the issues, but we do need to work extremely hard the rest of this month to make sure we have a plan in place. And obviously it will be hashed out in more clean detail so we can then deliver to the public, because that's my concern too, is I want to make sure that this is something that is clear and concise to deliver to the public so they are informed when they go to the ballot box in November and they know exactly what they're voting for and there's no smoke and mirrors.
Right.
And I'd also like to throw out that I would like to see us, use the engineering firm that we have on hand to
Right.
conduct a study, and that way we make an informed decision based off of experts that we can go off of
Right.
with spending this type of money
And
and spending
kind
it
of what I'm
wisely.
looking for from y'all is kind of a priority list, if y'all have any, of what you want us to hit, first priority, second priority. And we'll end up doing the whole thing, but if we get segments of it in, y'all can be looking over at and approving it and not having to hit the whole bulk one thing at one time.
Well, I don't understand why we need, I understand some things, we may need some engineering stuff, but as far as selection of roads for resurfacing, that's something that we're all capable of doing, and that's what we need to continue to do. The problem, and I want to caution everybody on, is if you go and put together a list of roads that these are the ones that you're going to resurface, we've got to attack the worst ones each year.
Mhm.
What's the worst today may not be the worst next year. That's my fear. And if you go back and you look at all these roads that got destroyed over in my district from the bridge, those roads were in pretty decent shape. And now I think we'd all agree that a lot of them were destroyed. Farm Road especially, which we're going to talk about tonight, was the worst one of the bunch.
Wasn't that on the list with the state, was taking care of?
What's that?
Farm Road.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what we got part of the money for.
Yeah.
But my point here is, and I don't think that this has been thought out. If we're gonna put TSPLOST on there, we need, and you wanna break it out in the categories of where you're gonna spend your money, there's probably gonna be some for capital improvements for equipment. And I think this is where we need to go. There's gonna be a resurfacing pot or a paving pot, or like whatever the case may be. But I don't think, and I don't want people to get misled that if TSPLOST passes, we're gonna be out here paving dirt roads 2 months after that happens, because that's not gonna be the case. And there's people out here who believe that.
Well, this pavement pot you talk about.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
So, and there may be some stuff, and I don't think we can spend money on engineering stuff with that being TSPLOST. I think it's all got to be capital related. And it may be, I don't know.
The engineering's up front. It's before the T-Splosh ever comes in. It's got to be paid.
But
It can be paid out of Splosh.
But my whole point here is, if we're going to we need to categorize the areas that we're going to spend and put forward whatever we're going to spend in it. And being able to quantify this stuff is going to be very difficult, guys. And if you go back and look at the language that we've had for roads and bridges on previous SPLOST, I think that's sufficient. And maybe add some for capital improvements, for equipment, that kind of thing. But I just want to caution everybody that you start putting a lot of language in there, and I know we want the detail. This board is very transparent, and I'm not against that, but I don't think we need to tie our hands for something that we're going to be chasing that's going to change every year. And we've seen this when we get out and ride roads. The road that's in the worst case this year, or third or fourth from the top, may be the worst case road next year, just depending on this truck traffic and things that we see. And that's why I want to caution everybody about trying to put together a list and prioritize, because they're going to constantly change every year.
Yeah, I'm not sure I don't think you'd have an exact road list.
No.
It would be broke down, and if you got X number of dollars in for redoing an intersection, redoing something, a bridge, not that we would do that.
The paving pot's very simple.
The paving would have a certain percentage or a dollar amount in the, listed out just like a splosh. I mean, again, I'm just saying, if there's anything y'all want to look at other than, something that's going to take engineering on, we need to give them a head start, let them get started on it.
I'm not
That's
sure.
what I was bringing up as more of a guidance tool, not a here's a list and
Correct.
sorry, because you're exactly right, Commissioner Dorsey. I mean, we cannot predict the future, and who knows where we'll be. This thing's going to be at least 5 years if it passes. So we're going to have to assess it.
I won't say this about the paving pot. The paving pot should be taken by districts, how many miles I got, you got, and it be broken into a percentage per mile for that district.
I mean, that's up to y'all, if y'all want to do
Well,
it.
And that's fair across the board. I've heard that word used many times in here.
I somewhat agree with that, but I somewhat disagree with that, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if you've got a main road that is in desperate need of repair, we need to take care of the worst case roads. The last thing we want to do is have one get to the deterioration point where it's got to be completely rebuilt.
Well, I
And then
understand,
the
but
cost
that's where you take your percentage and fix that road.
It doesn't matter.
Well, we can figure those things out
That could be
later
debated
on.
later. But, I mean, it used to be at one time, before I came on the board, each district got 20% of the road money, and District 5 had 40% of the roads, and you only got 20% of the
Well,
road
that's the reason I
money.
said break it down per mile.
And I'm okay with that. That's why I said I'm somewhat okay with that, but we also have to look at the overall conditions of what really needs to be fixed. So, for example, last year, we pulled roads off that we didn't pave because we just didn't have the funds from the.
Oh, well, no, I was there, I
So-
understand.
I think we need to stay on task here. The main thing that I'm bringing up is we do need to move forward and give a concise, decisive answer to the public here. And this is where we'll go from here, is to the planning. And that's why I threw out the engineers. I don't think that the engineer should be the end-all be-all, but it gives us an expertise, something to go off of, because none of us pay for a living, and none of us are experts in paving.
I mean, looking
And
at
so the more expert advice we can get on something like this is easier to sell, if you would, or deliver to the public when we're dealing with their money.
Just kind of looking at what the other counties has done that's passed these, is they've started off again, like I say, if there's a dangerous intersection or something to be handled, the engineering on that to find out an estimated cost. That's all you look for, the estimated
Right.
cost. So you'll know how much money it'll offer. Otherwise, it's a road rating where they rate the roads. Each road gets a rating. Like, well, John Kamey used to do that when he was here because he was the engineer. But that hadn't been done since John left. And again, yeah, y'all go out and look at it, pick whatever road you want. That's what y'all elected for. But it gives you a guide to look at, to just put in part of the information for y'all to make a decision on. That's all the engineering's for.
Well, it's like Commissioner
That's-
Brown, we need to get
that's
to,
what
like Commissioner
I don't
Brown
want them
said,
to
we
pick
just
the
get
routes.
the ball rolling on it, and we can figure all that out and come up with the best solution for what we need to do there as far as how the money's allocated and which ways, because it's not just going to paving, there's a lot more to it. I mean, we all know that.
The time is not in our favor here, so.
Well, there's other things too that they're going to have a play in this that I think we got to discuss before we vote on that.
Yeah, first and second.
All right.
If you would like to move it to the next meeting and put it on the agenda, I'm fine with that, to listen to what you got to say.
I'd be willing to move my motion to later tonight, possibly, but no, we need to make a decision tonight, guys.
That's fine too, I'm just saying.
You got plenty of time.
No,
We put it on the
we really-
agenda at the next meeting, because there's going to be some things that after we discuss what we're going to discuss, you're still not going to be in a position to make a decision, because, and I'm trying to be very cautious in what I say, but I don't think you guys understand the situation that we're in, and that's why I'm cautioning you now until we can discuss this more in detail. And that's all I'm going to say about it.
But we put it on the meeting night, though, on the agenda for the next meeting. You'd have enough time to get it in there, like the, been in the paper and all this kind of.
Guys, we've been pushing this off for over a year now. I mean, the public deserves decisive decisions. Either we do it or we don't do it.
Commissioner Brown, you've got time to do it. That's the thing. There's a
We have to
pressing,
have certain
there
things
is a pressing-
done by the end of this
understand.
month.
There's a-
And we have not even started on some of these things that we need to have done
there's
by
a
the end of this
pressing
month.
issue that's going to have to be resolved.
And
What I'm
I
looking
have
at is
been
that
made-
$381,000 I seen up there a while ago, that money
We
would have been
missed
on
it.
TSPLOST as well.
And we should have put this on the ballot last year. And we found that out with two SPLOST that passed with at least 70+% support from this county.
We're
And
just
could-
losing a lot of money, and the people of Hart County, most people don't realize that, but citizens of Hart County don't pay most of this money. It comes in from the out-of-town people of this SPLOST money.
Yeah, we're very unique in our situation and how our county can benefit from a SPLOST. Even though the majority of the state already has a T-SPLOST, they do not benefit in the ways that we do from that sales tax.
Okay, Commissioner Brown will consider making this motion later on tonight after we've heard what Commissioner Dorsey wants to speak of. And,
I'll reserve my second as well.
okay, so we will address this after executive session. Would that be fair?
Yeah.
Is that that would agree with everybody?
I mean, that's fine if that's what you want to do, but
Okay.
I'm telling you now that regardless of what we discuss, that you're not going to be, when I tell you what we got to talk about, you're not going to be in a position to make that decision tonight.
Okay,
That's all I have, Mr.
okay,
Chair.
thank you. All right, we'll move on to District 5, Commissioner Dorsey.
I want to echo those same accolades for the Chamber of Commerce, and I also want to send out my condolences to the family of Mr. Jimmy Meyerholtz. He's been a pillar of the community for many years, a builder, a very strong Christian, and a great neighbor. And Hart County definitely lost a great guy in his passing. So keep that family in your thoughts and prayers. That's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
All right. We'll move on to old business, solar farm ordinance discussion. Ms. Kim has put together an ordinance for us to look over. Would you like to come speak?
It's just a start. You had suggested starting with Morgan
Right.
County's ordinance. I did that. I took a few terms from Georgia's model ordinance and incorporated some provisions that you guys had suggested, the buffers, the acreage, I underlined a couple of things. How high do you want these provisions to be? I put some exemptions in there for residential and rooftop, which could be commercial, poultry houses and things, but, I mean, there are a million things you could add.
Right. On the 25 acres, could that be as a single parcel?
It's 2,500.
2,500,
2,500.
yeah, as a single tax parcel instead of joining, I mean,
Which-
wouldn't that be the way we'd want it?
Which one are we supposed to
It
be
could
looking
be
at? 'Cause we
combined,
got
that would be
two.
the only thing. Somebody could combine multiple parcels into one.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
We got two packets. Which one is, we got a solar energy facility ordinance, and then we got a 3-118.
Now,
We got
that's,
this.
I'm sorry, that, I did print one off from Jackson County, and
Okay.
it's
So we
it's
just need this
basically
solar for, okay.
a lot of the same terms in
Yeah,
here.
if you look
It's-
at them both and just kind of determine whether or
Right.
not you want some changes, it's possible we could do a first reading next meeting if we were close enough to what you all wanted.
Sounds good to me.
One thing that I think we need to incorporate in here, Kim, and I apologize for not speaking to you about this earlier, but the need for one of these to get to a distribution network or to a substation.
Well, I had done some research on that. I couldn't find anyone else. I know that it's a concern, but I couldn't find anything to model on. So, how close are you wanting to be to
I think if they're going to do it, it's got to be adjacent to the farm or on the farm.
The
The
substation.
a
substation,
substation?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're
Because the
saying-
last thing we want is people who got letters threatening eminent domain, and that's not what we want. If these people are going to do it, they need to do it all and contain it all on their property.
okay, anybody else got anything?
I
they
also
would like?
thought that you all may want to entertain a call to Hart EMC to see if they had any additional ideas or concerns that
That'd be
they would
good.
want.
Well, they've got EMCs throughout all over, so I'm sure they're tied up with them, hooked up with them somewhere, so.
Yeah, she's talking about their site of.
Yeah, they're
where- yeah, they
concerned.
would-
When we're
be-
talking about
You got,
sitting next to a substation, is that a concern or is that a benefit to our
Has
local
anybody reached out to
EMC?
Kevin from Georgia Power? Isn't he our local?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I had a webinar with George Power.
Okay.
And we talked over this.
but what I'm saying is there's EMCs throughout Georgia, so I'm sure they could give us some input on how they been working with the solar farms.
And I know that they have been some people like in Hart County here, like them substations that owns property that's got letters about, wanting to put the solar farms there. Seems like they'd have to be near a substation.
And plus, we don't own all the right of way on our sides of the roads. I mean, those are private, a lot of those, a lot of right of way.
Well, that, a lot of it's gonna be state too.
Some of it could be state.
Yeah, so I think you're doing good with this, Kim. I've read over it. It looks good. I think it's.
Well, it was late notice. I didn't
Right.
expect you all to have ingested it all tonight, but I did want to get something for you to at least start on before the next meeting.
Okay, Commissioner Dorsey's mentioned his addition. Does anybody else got any that she could put in there before we come back next week?
I'm gonna have to read it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to read it. That's the first I got it.
All right, well, I mean, we could still take it as a first reading next meeting. and then
Right.
I have
add
a
to
list
it,
of
so-
additional ideas, and I also generated a list today that probably won't be 100%, but any federal or state law that they could, that they would also have to comply with. Wetlands, EPD, storm water management with the state. It was about probably 10 or 12 that I thought I would add in here just to reference, including but not limited to, there was historic preservation and all of that, so they would need to check all
And
those
what we want to tie
boxes.
our comprehensive plan into this somewhere?
I actually did write it in.
Okay.
In the beginning, in the introduction.
Okay, all right.
What about the requirement for a bond for cleanup after this is done?
Okay, there's a brand-new statute that will go into effect July 1 that the state has set out, and I did reference it in there. It's about 4 sections in Title 46, but it does require a decommissioning plan and that it be filed in the county records. And so it has that, if it's not a bond, it has some type of financial obligation within it. So
And that's in the legislature?
it's been
It's already
passed.
passed,
It
yeah.
will go into effect July 1. So
But don't-
I did
Wouldn't
copy all
re-
that today, and I have a copy tonight. I can make a copy for you all before you leave and let you
My only
look at it.
concern-
We're allowed to do bonds since they're doing.
Well, that's
The
my
only
point. You don't
concern
need
is a
bond.
bond would guarantee the funds to be able to do that.
And
If it
that's-
doesn't specify something like that, are those funds gonna be put in an escrow account somewhere or what? Because this, I mean, these things age out, the costs are gonna get worse.
That was
higher.
the intent of that state statute, so we can get a copy of that and kind of digest it. I did make a notation in there that where ours is more stringent than state regulations, or state more stringent than ours, the strictest controlled. And so, and I said as amended, so that state statute may change some over time, and we just want to stay.
Ahead of the game.
But what I'm saying, if it's already mandated, we wouldn't need a bond.
No, but I did reference it. It is referenced there. And I
But if
can
it's
get you
not a
copy of
bond, we don't know what that financial vehicle is. And a bond is something
I
we
don't
can.
remember it saying
Yeah, I understand
bond,
what you're saying.
but I'll look back at it again,
I
but
mean,
I don't
just-
remember it specifically
Just to say
saying
that you're
bond.
financially responsible and you go bankrupt, then who's gonna be stuck with it? If
I
there's a
think they
bond,
had I think they had a way of calibrating it to the size and all that with the.
but if they go bankrupt,
and the-
where's the money gonna come from?
I mean, even if we had a bond, they went bankrupt, I mean, we in the same boat.
But you could use that bond for the cleanup, whereas if they go
Well-
bankrupt,
It
it
calls
wouldn't.
it a financial assurance
Yeah.
to secure the performance of the obligation. It doesn't specifically call it a bond, but it gives a whole calculation.
But we could say in our ordinance that we require that.
Yes,
you-
and I did reference that.
Okay.
And I specifically denoted this statute,
All right.
but I'll get you all a copy of that. It is not in Westlaw yet, so I had to get it off of something called case text, but it looks a little weird, but I'll get it to you.
All right. Thank you, Kim. Ma'am, if you would come up front and state your name.
I'm Debbie Dorman. I was just curious, with the bond, are you talking about Hart County issuing the bond or someone
No,
else?
the property owner or whoever owns the solar farm will be responsible for having a bond that would ensure that there were funds available for cleanup in the event they go bankrupt or whatever the case may be.
Okay,
There's been problems in the past with these solar farms bankrupt, and then they just leave the messes in the fields and whatever.
the only thing I would mention, being in the financial field, is that they themselves, again, I'm not an expert on certainly county business, but I'm just, from my side, they could have purchased like a AAA bond that they're putting up as collateral that's guaranteed by a different issuing organization. They don't themselves have to.
But they were responsible for purchasing and setting it up and that kind of thing, all the expense. And it's just like in a subdivision, we require a bond on the roads.
Yeah.
So that if the developer goes bankrupt, there's money there that we can finish these things. And that's all we're trying to do is to
Secure.
protect the taxpayers from the expense of cleaning it up. It's something that they didn't create. That's all I'm trying to do here.
No, and I hear that, and I don't know if it's my language or the way I'm expressing myself up. I think I understand what you're saying, but if whoever this person or people would be, if they had to purchase, and it was purchased, and then you knew it was purchased, and then it was set aside, for the length of time to do something, because in my clients' bond portfolios, we have staggered bond maturities, so it's like a ladder. So, as an example, I'm making up a number that has no relevance. If it's a $500,000 bond, they buy, say, it could be municipal, it could be county, it could be something, but something that's secured with, say, a AAA rating, they've purchased it.
It would be different than that. I mean, like for example, Hartford. I know some people who have got bonds through the Hartford. It may be, and it's an annual fee that they have to pay to maintain that. It's not like a long-term bond where you go,
I see.
it's a different
Essentially,
situation.
almost like an insurance policy.
Yes,
Got it.
that's
All
what
right.
it is.
I wasn't
It's not
sure.
like if you buy bonds per se from fiduciary market or whatever, financial market. This is more the bond secures the fact that they are financially stable and that if in fact they do go bankrupt, that money would then come in there to clean it up. So kick it like an insurance
I
policy.
And it
understand
may
that better.
all
You should
be-
make them do the other because then you're pretty
It
much
may
sure.
be all
Yeah.
irrelevant anyway, because I don't think the
It
state
is defined
statute.
as a surety or a performance bond. And it
States-
actually has to, it's on a sliding scale time-wise, so every 5 years they have to provide a new estimate of what it would take for the cleanup.
Thank you. I thought I heard it one way, but
It's defined in the statute, it's just in a different statute, 46-3-67. Means a surety or performance bond that renews automatically issued by, an A-rated company.
All right,
Thank you.
then we'll move on to 12B, Article 10, mobile home and RV parks, revisions, discussions.
I've kind of loaded you up with a couple more ordinances, from Troop County, and I can't remember all the counties, there's 3 or 4 ordinances in there. And again, it's just for y'all to tell me what you want our ordinance to contain.
Well, I did make some phone calls and do some research, a little more research on this thing. And I know Commissioner Dorsey had mentioned 4 units per acre. And I said I was fine with the 7, but everybody I've talked to some engineers actually, and they're at 4 as well. So I'm gonna go with the 4 on that, if that's my opinion.
And the purpose of this is to provide some green space and things and not have everything right up, because you got to look at it, not only is this going to be probably operated as an RV park, it could also be operated as an off-water
The way
campsite
they
as well.
explained it to me is you need it for an acre. The 4 needs the acre, is the way it was explained to me.
What, 4 campsites per acre?
4 RVs per acre.
I'm going to do the current, and show you what they're doing.
It wouldn't be 10,000 square feet per unit. You know, you got a road and a driveway or whatever, and you gotta have some green space, but they still,
How much space in between each campsite?
you know, people I thought they said 80, at least 80 feet.
80?
80 feet in between campsites?
I don't know.
That's what they're doing right now.
Right on top of each other.
Yeah, I agree, it needs to be spread out some.
I think we need to limit how many sites you can have per,
Looks like there will be one like every other spot.
But where you get a picture of them.
Well, if we got that 25 acre
Don't worry,
thing
get
in
a
there,
picture.
you're probably looking at 80 sites minus the roads.
How many are they on that
Let's see
side
that
right there? I mean, on that, lot.
We can,
good gracious alive,
what's the height, number
47?
47, 50 up?
How many acres they got there?
Huh?
What's how big's the parcel?
The jack is putting up, yeah, it's probably 5 acres.
5 acres, 47?
What's their market? I mean, their
Short
market
term.
can't be just for recreation, vacation time. I mean, that's not a
It's
RV campground.
it's an
for that.
alternate
Huh?
to short-term rentals. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
Well, the king.
Well, a lot of people are getting tired of property taxes. They're like, you know what?
Well,
I don't want to pay
again,
property
that's
taxes
another
anymore,
thing we
so
need to be sure
run
that's
around,
plain
go
in
stay other
our
places.
ordinance that it's 30 days or less.
Yeah, but all you gotta do is move over, like I said.
Or, I mean, they
Well,
may
depending on how
30
the
days
ordinance-
go
Some of the other
to
ordinances
different
are worded
places.
completely different.
You could have it
Well, they have to move completely out the park in 30
for a
days.
week and then come back.
That work. That'd stop the short term.
And again, that's why I put all these other people's ordinances in there where we can read through them, y'all read through them and pick out what you like and what you don't like, and we'll put it together.
All right.
The one thing to look at too is, I mean, yeah, I see it, and they're stacked in there, but we're also used to seeing those subdivision ordinances and the houses.
Let me see that.
It's a lot different. I mean, they're sitting This isn't a forever thing. I mean, these guys probably gonna be lucky to have 50% occupancy.
That's one in, there's 4 more of them in construction right now, laid out pretty much exactly the same.
I just don't know the impact of it, whereas we do know the impact of a residential neighborhood. I mean, we've had bukus of experts come and tell us the impact
That's
of that.
another thing.
I just don't know the impact of
The
that.
advertising part of it, just like we got in the subdivision now. Where the neighbors know what's going on before it just smacks them in the face.
But you get what I'm saying there. I mean, unless you've seen something as far as the impact, we know the impact of what it cost when a 50-house subdivision comes in. And we had the professor from UGA.
Well, we don't have one of them up operating enough to get the actual impact to us until people do them. These are all under construction.
And we do have one that's been here for a while.
We do, but I'm not aware of any problems we've had with that one. But again, that
This is
one's,
not a much smaller scale than what we've got here.
oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And again, those right now, to the best of my knowledge, are filled up by workers.
Don Sanders has been here for a long
There it
time.
is.
One down
The one
29,
about the
not
rec
even full.
department.
I think it was one of the first ones
Parkdale.
completed, wasn't it?
No, the first one was actually over on,
First one was
Yeah,
one
so
on
Parkdale.
Parkdale.
This guy.
Yeah, Parkdale, well, that's.
and they're all construction workers that's just coming in and staying, best I can understand.
I come by the one on 29 the other day, it
It's the
wasn't
same
even full.
thing, it's still construction workers
Right.
staying in.
All right, well, let's just read these over this week and come back
There's the
with
map,
some.
sure.
And I noticed in that Troop County, it was dropped back down to 10 acres, so we need to, go back. Yeah. All right, I'm taking no action on that tonight. Job description for assistant administrator.
I'll give y'all that job description a week or so back, and let y'all look at it and form any additions, deletions, whatever.
I had some changes I wanted to make to it, some additions as well. I didn't bring it with me. I thought it would be in our packet. I had them. Yeah, hold on, I'm gonna pull it up on my phone.
Yeah, it's in here.
What is ITB? What does ITB stand for?
Yeah, I got that same question.
Internal, business. It's just the business of the county, basically, with both now.
This person should also be capable of filling in for county administrator as well.
There will be.
Yeah, I mean, needs to be on here,
Assistant administrator, yeah.
but it needs to be in the essential duties.
Yeah, we need to add that they take all the training certifications as well. I didn't see that in there, I may have missed it. And to be willing to travel.
But they can't get the trainings before they're hired, right?
No,
So
but I
that
mean,
wouldn't be under
they need to
requirements.
get all the certifications for it after they're hired. Classes. I mean, I know they'll be trained by Terrell, but they still
Well, no,
need
they
to
still get
That
certify.
would just be,
Either
would be
they'll come in the
duties you
door
would
with
hand down.
with it, or they'll need to pick it up after they
at
get
the end of the
hired.
day, they gotta do what you tell them to do.
Huh?
At the end of the day, they gotta do what you tell them to do.
But you need that language in there so they can't say, well, I didn't see
know.
that. Yeah.
Under minimum qualifications, I think we need to have at least a master's degree or equivalent experience option there as well.
10 years experience or whatever.
Well, I just think a master's degree or in lieu of a master's degree, at least 6 years of experience in an assistant county manager or city manager or some kind of management role. But it needs to be in public service. It doesn't need to be, well, I guess in private service as well, but the problem that I see is some people have a problem transitioning from the private sector to the public sector and vice versa.
Well, I don't see the need for a master's degree.
I don't either,
I
because,
mean,
You did-
Now,
Listen to what I
it's-
said, a master's degree or equivalent experience.
but a guy like that's gonna already be sitting in the front seat
But if
somewhere.
he's got 6 years' experience, he would meet what I'm saying.
Well, it already says in there to have
Well,
a.
if he shadows you, he's gonna get
knowledge
experience too.
and a level of competency
Yeah, and
commonly associated with completion of
Microsoft.
Look
degree
at,
in
look
either
at,
public
look at the
or
county
business.
administrator job description has a master's degree in it, or it did have.
But this is for the assistant.
I know, but this person is gonna be moving into that role, guys.
Well,
And maybe they don't,
sometime-
maybe they have a bachelor's degree and agree to get a master's, or they got experience. You've got the option to have
Well, we
flexibility.
could still hire them if they had a bachelor's degree. I mean, even if the requirement wasn't there.
But my point here, and this is what you guys are missing, or. So this is saying you gotta have a bachelor's degree in either public or business administration, period. That's all it's saying.
Oh, I thought I had or experience in there. I
You
don't.
do have the
No.
experience. I've seen it.
There's
Yeah,
nothing-
the experience definitely needs to be in there.
It's not in here.
Okay, it needs to be.
I agree, that's
Yeah,
the whole
that's-
point
That's the
I'm making.
oversight of mine, yeah.
It says knowledge and level of competency commonly associated with the completion of a baccalaureate degree in either public. It doesn't say that a bachelor's or really any degree is required. That's good, sure. But also, there could be a completely qualified individual that doesn't have that degree.
And I fully agree with that. I have
do
no
too.
problem with it. I'm just saying that we need to define that and give us those options, whether.
I think it's
it's-
defined right
Well,
here
the
pretty
next
good.
line says experience
Says com-
sufficient.
Level
Yeah.
of competency
To thoroughly
commonly
understand.
associated with.
What's wrong with putting that in there like that?
It's already in
Master's
there.
degree.
Well, you're gonna get
Master's,
outside.
you'd Be more qualified than him.
You're gonna get outside of that
Not
budget. I
necessarily.
remember the budget we allowed for this last year, and you're gonna get way outside of that budget
Absolutely.
when you start building in.
You need somebody with
degrees.
experience, or you need to quantify an education requirement so that you have something to say this is the minimum requirements for. That's all I'm saying.
When were you looking to post?
Whenever y'all approve of the job description.
What changes have we got so far?
Adding experience.
Cer- Certification classes, traveling.
The other part to this is I feel like whoever this person is should be in a position to fill in for a department head from a succession planning standpoint. I understand they may not have the experience, but they could help from the administrative side of things. For example, somebody retires, and I've talked about succession planning a lot in the past, but we're to that point where we're starting to see people retire. We may have higher turnover, a lot of different things, but this person could help fill in and close some of those gaps. And I think that we need to have something in there along those lines, other than other duties as assigned.
Yeah, that's why we put that last sentence in.
But I think they need to understand that. I think they need to
I feel like that
understand,
covers it there.
I think they need to understand
What last sentence was he talking about?
some of the things that's gonna be expected. Assist, plans, provides, performs, attends, serves as a liaison. But there's nothing about it says provides oversight to specific county departments assigned to them by the county administrator to ensure compliance with strategic plans and performance measures. But this, to me, oversight is not necessarily hands-on. That person might need to fill in for Ed at the maintenance shop, Jerry as fire chief. And I'm just using these as an example to help take some of the burden off of Terrell. And the thing we also got to think about is this person going to be your next EMA director, because Terrell wears the EMA director hat as well.
I'm gonna be honest with you, probably not.
Okay. But I'm not.
We're just
two
looking for
totally different
an
worlds.
assistant administrator.
I understand, but guys, what I'm trying to tell you is there's a wealth of knowledge in that man's head that's not out here. The 911 system, you're the only one.
Nope.
You're the only one.
Well, you're gonna train them on all of this, right?
But I don't want us to
That's
go.
my point.
I don't, I want to make sure we still talk about, I mean, me personally, I didn't want this position to be learning EMA. I mean, we need
No,
an
you're better off.
assistant
We got,
administrator. We don't need an assistant EMA director.
no, you don't. You need to be a separate person. I kind of fell into
I
it
don't-
over a bunch
I
of
don't
years.
disagree, but if that's what our plans are, we need to get that in place.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is, there's a lot of knowledge that you got that we've got to get a backup for, because if something were to happen to Terrell, what are we gonna do?
Well, it's not as bad as it used to be.
That was the purpose, try to get this done, so we can get somebody in that
I don't
position.
disagree, Marshall,
mean,
but there's things down there with 911 and other things that Terrell's got that nobody else has, and we don't have this, and I'm not trying to belittle or do anything. I'm strictly looking at
Well,
what's in the
you
best
got
interest
to
of the
understand
board and the taxpayers.
how I got here. I was at the end of the business world down there.
I understand.
That was, again, you got other people in that world down there now that's picking that up and carrying it on. The emergency management side, that's planning, and main thing is keeping relationships. But the administrative side of this government is a totally different world.
I understand, but it all goes hand in hand.
It does now, because I'm sitting in here.
I understand.
At some point,
But
I ain't
this
gonna be
is
standing here, so it's gonna be,
that is my entire point.
it's gonna have to be
right there.
split up to other people.
That's my point.
Not one person,
That's
other
my
people.
point.
But
But if this
I can tell you
person-
for a fact, you drive one person crazy. But,
If
look
this,
at me.
if this
But anyway,
position is to take your place,
as
we need to-
administrator,
I understand, but the consensus here is this to take your place. And this stuff needs to be broke out, and we need to start working on contingency and succession
Yeah.
plans for some of this other stuff.
well, I agree with you. I agree with you. And
I
then-
think it looks good, and I'm gonna make a motion that we approve this so we can get it posted this week.
With the additions?
Well, it depends on the additions, because, I mean,
Well,
he don't need a
have
master's.
to take all certification classes, traveling, and I'm fine if they have associate's degree myself, because they're
If
gonna
you
get
want
their.
to put something in
Well, they gotta have
in
associate's degree.
vaguely that
Just
they
the
must
knowledge.
comply to your
Yeah,
orders. I
equivalent.
mean,
Yeah.
Well,
you know,
it's
But I mean,
it's state
the bachelor
regulations.
thing,
It's not like you got a choice.
yeah, that's right, that's right. And here, we want people, you to start hunting,
Right.
and for us to start looking at people.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you make it too stringent, you're not gonna find anybody that's gonna
No,
match you.
they already got a front seat.
You make a motion
I did.
to,
I'll give you a second with those two additions.
what was the two additions?
Take certification, all certification classes that they do not have, and be willing to travel. with
I
the
thought
job.
that we were just leaving it up to administrator. He said that it takes care of itself.
Yeah, if he's gonna be a certified public official, he has gotta go take the CAP
State
classes.
owner requires it.
Right.
So,
So I'm gonna ask a dumb question, I'm gonna be the bad guy again. So if this person is gonna be able to backfill for Terrell, this person shouldn't be able to assist. This person should be capable of stepping in. Assist in the preparation of the annual budget.
Yeah.
It's the same thing we went through with the election supervisor position and the part-time
Yeah.
person.
And I
Words,
got that out of every job description in the state of Georgia for an assistant administrator.
and we're in the process of getting these job descriptions updated with the Archway. This is a new one. I think this thing needs a little more work. I think we ought to have a job description, a work session to go through a little bit more of this, because I think there's questions that need to be answered. And I think it needs to be a little more defined, because I can say assist, and all I'm doing is giving the county administrator a departmental budget request. That's assisting. That's not what I think this position, not what I'm looking for this position to do.
well, I look at this as this individual very well may not be our county administrator one day.
No, that'd be a choice y'all make when I'm
But
gone.
you're
We're
grooming this
essentially
person
just
for
getting
that.
an assist- And they
I'm
very
grooming
well
him
could
to-
show initiative, and maybe one day,
But
possibly,
again,
but
well, maybe, we hire somebody in 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years down the road, it ain't working out.
if we're gonna hire
We're back
someone
where
to
we're
take
at.
over for you, we need to, first we need to redo the budget, because we need to put more money in there, more than likely, for this job. I mean, we're gonna have to change this position to administrator instead of assistant, because we're essentially hiring your replacement. Right now,
You just said
we're
we
hiring
weren't.
an assistant.
Well, this assistant, the pay grade's two different pay grades, I promise you, because if you
That's
remember the
highest
budget.
pay- That's the highest pay grade we got.
Okay,
It's not under contract.
we need to be clear on this motion. Are you including the, all certifications, or are you?
Well,
not?
Terry-
That needs to be in there. It needs to be in there, because if you can come up and say, well, didn't nobody say I got to take no classes, here's the
But he
paperwork.
said by the state mandate.
Yeah, it's mandated.
So it takes care of itself.
Again, it should be in, and I agree with Commissioner Bennett that it needs to be documented, because even though it may be state law or whatever, we need to have something that this person's gonna have to be able to operate on. I'm gonna make a motion to table this and have a work session after the next. All right, motion to table take precedence over the other motions. And we have a work session after our next meeting to hash this out, and let's get it done. So, if it gets a second,
Well,
it
we've
gets
had
one.
it a week now.
Guys, we can't.
And I'm the
work-
only one that seems
We're not
like
having
it's
work
bringing
sessions
things
on
up.
things that we need to be taken care of, and we're gonna have a work session over a job description. I mean, hold on a second, I'll get Chat GPT out here and I'll have it for you in about 5 seconds.
Mr. Chairman, my motion takes precedence on the floor.
Okay, we got a motion to table. Have a second?
Motion dies.
Motion dies, like a second. Now we'll go back. We need to be clear on the certifications. We're
If
not
you guys
putting that in there.
If that's the holdup, guys, then put the certifications in
What
there.
about wording it required
What about-
certifications?
And travel.
What about Commissioner Dorsey? He wanted to change it to an education level. Are we on the same
I
path
said
there too?
education or experience, or a combination of the two. That's all I was saying.
That's fine.
Well, that's basically in there.
Sounds good to me.
So if we have, the best guy comes up here and he doesn't have but 4 years of experience, are we gonna turn him down?
Well,
got a bachelor's degree?
this minimum
He's got an associate's
qualifications.
But you said he's gotta have a master's or equivalent to a master's.
Well, that's
But
what I put in there,
read
but you
the
could have an
minimum
associate's degree and
qualifications.
4 years' experience. That's 6 years. That's equivalent.
But if you read these minimum qualifications, ain't no idiot gonna walk through here and ask for this job.
They
Really?
not have anybody apply, but they have to deal with
Again,
us.
there's a lot of unanswered questions, guys. That's all I'm saying.
So you say put it in there?
Sure, yeah. You posted this
You
week.
second it?
I second.
All right, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I want to go on record that we're not ready for this one.
You want to go on record what?
That this is not ready for, it needs more work.
Well, could you share it with us? What
I-
it means?
Have shared it with you when I made my motion to table, that I think this deserves more work. I think it would be good that we sit down and let's go through this as a group and let's get it right so that we can hire the best person for the job. There's a lot of these things that the terminology is somewhat vague. As I said earlier, assist. I can assist with a sheet of paper for a budget, and I have met the requirements of this job description. I'm just throwing these things out. I'm not trying to be the bad guy, but I want to see detail. Y'all know me well enough to know I like to see the detail so that whoever the person hired knows exactly what's expected of them. That's my
Well, I
point.
think we'll have, I mean, if we hire an assistant, he's going to work under Terrell. We will be able to,
We can control that.
we'll be able to see if this guy's going to be able to do these things or not. I mean.
Terrell will.
And I mean, and he can relay back to us, this guy's not working out, or this, you don't want this guy as your next administrator, or man, y'all need to get this guy for your next administrator. I mean, we don't want to qualify somebody out of the position though.
So
What's the probationary
let me
normal?
ask this question. What do you see one of the biggest things this position will be?
It's gonna take some of the load off Terrell, and Terrell's gonna train him, and I'm
What's-
sure he's gonna want to
What's
walk
this
in that
position
seat.
gonna do that we have missing today? Communication, right? Don't we think we need that? There's not one thing in here about communication.
I mean, we've
Well, it
discussed
says
this
it must
for over a
communicate. If
year
you
now,
read through that,
we
it says
need
must.
some-
I've read through it. Read it.
Must attend all meetings, and,
If there's an issue that happens, this board needs to know about it. If Terrell's tied up, he's gonna let us know.
Chairman.
well, I think it's in the language here, if you read it, I read it.
That's not.
It's-
I come
Why don't we
prepared,
work on this
guys.
after executive session?
We got a motion and a second.
I want everybody to be happy about it.
Well, it says right here, it says, plans, develops, organizes, implements, directs in preparation, and presents administration reports, special projects as assigned, including presentations and speeches, provides research, supervisory support to the county administrator in diverse functional areas. That pretty much covers your communication.
It does not say anything about communication.
You don't have the
Commissioner
word communication,
All right.
and I agree.
That's my
We got a
point.
motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Bennett, to go ahead and adopt this job description as an assistant county administrator
With the change.
With amendments,
with the changes of certification.
classes and traveling.
Classes.
Okay,
And
and
nothing
work
about
experience.
education and experience.
okay.
You guys are making a major mistake. That's all I'm gonna say.
No, we put the education experience in there.
Yeah.
They put that in there.
All the changes that we put in there.
So what is the education and experience?
I mean,
6 years experience.
That's not what he was thinking.
What do you think?
He was
I
saying
didn't
4
say that. I
years.
mean, you said
I know, you said 4
masters.
years. I said equivalent of a master's. So it needs to be clear what we're gonna do
I'm
here.
saying, just on the job, 6 years experience. As an assistant somewhere else or whatever, don't matter, as long as they got 6
Well, that
years
needs to be in the
experience in
motion.
county government. Just put it in there, 6 years of experience in county government.
I think we just keep
Public or
getting.
business administration.
That's in there?
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. It's already there. I read it 2 or 3 times. I don't remember every word of it.
All right, we'll call for a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Okay.
This is not ready. This is not good.
Okay. All right. We'll move on to City of Royston annexation.
Excuse me.
We tabled this last meeting, didn't we?
I make a motion, we take
We
it off the
take no
table.
action. We take no action?
Second.
Did we take no action or
We
we
didn't
tabled?
take no action.
Okay, just took no.
Oh, we didn't table it? I have to go back and look. I can't remember that far back now.
Yeah, it was
I
no
thought we did
action.
table it.
We-
Okay,
Can't
I withdraw the motion.
I wrote no action.
That's right.
Yeah.
No action, good deal.
Yeah.
I have talked to the mayor and the property owner. There's no specific plans of what he's going to do with this piece of property. That's why they kind of went back and forth on the classification of it. Right now, he's thinking multifamily housing on it. It is in the city of Royston's water and sewer district, so.
I spoke to planning and zoning, and they can put 6 units per acre, is what they can put over there.
How many?
6. That's their
well-
new ordinance. That's the
Yeah, they
old ordinance.
can by the new ordinance. I talked to the property owner, and he said he didn't have any exact plans right now.
The issue I had with it is everything around there is R1 or agriculture.
Mhm.
He applied for R2 in the zoning paperwork.
Right.
He would be going against everything
Well,
in
it's
that
like you
neighborhood.
said, that's a guaranteed townhouse, condos, whatever. That's what they're
The
looking
city
at.
would be the one to set the zoning.
Well, we've just been very consistent on, we're trying to manage growth here, and this directly goes against what we've been preaching.
It does. I think we need to have.
If they could come back with an R1, I mean, that's, it might go
When they
over.
file an application up here at Hartwell, don't they have to put their reason, what they're gonna do?
Well, there's different ordinances in different places, different ordinance requirements.
Well, we're in Hart County with this.
Huh?
We're in Hart County with this.
So-
Correct, but you got municipalities, they
So
go by their own
let's
ordinance.
think this thing out. So the annexation that we recently had, we voted to go to arbitration because there was a material burden increase in the road infrastructure.
And density.
And-
Well, it didn't put density.
And
in there,
density was not even part of it. So that was the reason for the arbitration. In this situation, this is on a state highway. This does not impact the county at all. So that was the only, just because we may not like it or whatever, we've got to be able to prove or cite a material burden increase or a density change. Those are the two big things that impact us, and I don't know that we have that here.
Density change would be definitely off the top, because R2 and R1 are
You just don't know what he's gonna do. He could do a business park. He could
Yeah,
have
he
professional
considered,
offices.
he had actually considered a liquor store, what he told me. But he just wanted it flexible where he could go either way, and that's why he applied for the.
Guys, we got to be consistent here. I mean,
I
that's
think we're
the,
being consistent.
no, I mean, we have beat people up over the head about annexations where we really didn't have any grounds to stand on, but
But
we
we-
took the moral high ground on
But what
denying.
did we do, Jeff? If we opposed it, we voted to go to arbitration. And
guess
in
we're gonna
order
have
to
to
go
do
to
that here.
arbitration, we had to provide a material burden increase. That was our whole purpose.
I think
And I
we
don't
should
see
at
where you got
least,
that here.
we should at least have a written consent with the purpose of this, what's gonna be done with this property, so we would have some idea what we could do then, or
Can we not just deny and
No.
ask them to reapply R1 and then it's the city of Royston's issue?
I just wanna know what they're gonna do with it. I think you need to put it on paper and be sitting here looking at it. I mean, you just open the door, give him wide open, and go any way he wants to. He can go R1, R2, build a liquor store, whatever he wants to do.
Well,
Kim, I'm gonna put you on the spot, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's in a residential.
The only legal grounds we've got to object to this is if we can quantify a material burden increase. Just because you may not like something doesn't give you the option to deny it. I mean, and I'm not arguing for it. I'm just simply talking about being consistent. I just don't see where there's a material burden increase to the county here.
But we don't know what he's gonna do. If he does an R2, put 6 units per acre, then we got density that we're looking at with his piece of paper in front of us.
That'd be 24.
We need to know exactly what's gonna happen to the land before.
Could have a big old apartment
Go to-
complex there.
So,
And the consistency I see is, if we're going to require the city of Hartwell, or if it's in the city of Hartwell's ordinance, that they provide us a site plan or a plat, and they bring it before us, and then we accept one here that we don't have one, then there we go, we've opened the door.
I'm just
guys-
a total loss here. I mean, we could have an apartment complex or a liquor store, and we're just gonna push this through. Yeah, it's fine.
The
But then we're
point-
gonna turn around and hold everybody else for, houses on acre lots or houses on half-acre lots.
and we have no reason not to, because we don't know what he's going to do. But if it's going to be a complex over there, then you do have your density.
So your clock is running. You've got 45 days from the time you were notified to have an objection. What is your objection going to be? It is a legal objection to do whatever you're going to do. What is it going to be?
Our objection to this board requires a reason, just like the ones that we get from the city of Hartwell when they
The
apply.
law says, okay, I'll let Kim do it. I'll let Kim tell you.
I've got a new password.
Some DVD for it next time you come over here.
So I'm just saying, if the city of Royston's not required to bring a plat, what makes the city of Hartwell required?
It's the ordinance.
It's what's not.
So they can change their ordinance, and then we can be placed in the same situation.
Every time.
Okay. As long as we understand that.
Well, again, I've contacted like I said, I talked to the mayor, I've talked to the property owner. And evidently, I don't know I've never been to a Royston zoning meeting, I don't know what's required there.
I think that we'll need to table it again.
Problem is your
If you
time's
table it,
going
it ain't
to
gonna make any difference, it's not gonna make any difference. You lose, I mean, again, if you object, you gotta have something to object to, or the time runs out and it goes through anyway. That's just basically where we're at.
I mean, we don't know what they're gonna do.
Can we not object to the fact that it's totally does not fit the character of that neighborhood? I mean, we're going from R1 to R2 here.
It is.
It's agriculture that butts up to it.
But that's the problem with state law. That's what ties our hands. And we're under a clock. And if we don't have an objectionable reason that's permitted by law, the problem is there's not a whole lot we can do about it. And even if we go to if we had an arbitration reason to go to arbitration, you don't be able to delay it for 2 years.
Then why are we going to arbitration? I mean, you
Because
have
of a
set up
road
here
issue
and preached
down
that we
here,
need to go to
Jeff.
arbitration on these other ones. I mean,
Because we got a road issue down here that we got to deal
we're
with.
going to have a road issue here.
It's on state highway.
And there's county roads that come
That's
off
not a
from over
county
there.
road. That's
County
not-
roads come all
No,
around this
that's not. Hilly
parcel.
Road is not a county road.
Yes, they do. County
that's not-
roads surround this area just like they surround every other area.
It is
There's
not
state roads that
impacted.
intersect, but there's county
It
roads.
is not
around.
impacted on a county
I
road.
just don't understand. I mean, I'm at lost. I mean, we went from just denying everything then now all of a sudden we're trying to push this one through?
I'm not trying to
I'm just
push
being
it.
consistent here, folks.
I'm not trying to push it. I'm saying, tell me what is an objectionable reason for
Well,
this.
usually you're the one that comes up with objections because you know everything
Okay.
about arbitration, so why
All
don't you
right.
give us one? Because you
I
gave us
don't
one on
have one
every
here.
other one.
That's the point.
Well, then I'm
You're trying to
waiting
be
on,
difficult,
well,
and
I'm
I'm sitting
waiting
here telling
on
you.
our attorney to give us one like she usually
But
does.
you say all these, this is impacted by roads. It is not, correct me if I'm wrong, you can pull it up.
We may
There's
not
a
go
county
roads, we
road
may go
here.
somewhere else.
There's not a county road here.
We don't have any objections because we don't know what they're gonna do with it. And they just more or less got us right where they want us. In the city hall.
I mean, I'm all about controlling growth, guys.
Well, this goes right against controlling growth. There's an
It
apartment
doesn't say
complex
which-
coming right there.
But
or a
you've
liquor
got
store.
45 days, Jeff, to make a decision. And once that clock runs out, they move forward with it, whether you kick and
why are you
scream and jumping
approving
up and hollering, whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean, you don't have to approve it. You can just sit here and not take any action, and the clock runs out, and then they can do what they're gonna do. That's my whole point.
Okay. Reasons for objection. The county governing authority may, by majority vote, object to the annexation because of material increase in burden upon the county directly related to one or more of the following: the proposed change in zoning or land use, proposed increase in density, and infrastructure demands related to the proposed change in zoning or land use. So it has to be a material increase in burden upon the county directly related to the proposed change in land use, the proposed increase in density or infrastructure demands.
Well, there is a proposed.
That first one.
But
That first is red.
is the increase in
But you don't-
density, what is that material burden on the county?
No, it's
It's
going
on a
R1 to R2.
But it's on, if it's on a state highway, if it's not in our
We got
water
county
or
roads.
sewer district,
It
what?
goes back to Woodland Heights back there. That's county road. isn't it?
No, it's city.
That's city street.
That's city.
But our county butts it.
All right.
They maintain that whole street.
That's city all the way.
The only thing that abuts is, state highway, if I'm not mistaken.
Just right there on that corner.
What was the first one you read again, Kim? It was changes to zoning and density, I think was.
Material burden
All right.
increase.
Our objection is based on a material burden increase directly related to, and then, number one, the proposed change in land use. Number two, a proposed increase in density. Number three, infrastructure demands.
We don't have. know
So
what
we're
they're
not gonna
do
have
with it.
infrastructure demands.
What's the change in zoning?
If they're gonna build townhouses,
It's not our
it's
zoning,
changing
so I
density.
skipped that word, but
R1,
a proposed change in
Everything there
land
is
use.
R1.
It's our zoning, not City of Rawson's zoning, our county zoning, which we don't.
I don't know that we have enough information to say that there's a proposed
problem.
change in land use.
That's my point.
But even if we did, is it a material increase in burden upon the county?
We don't know what they're gonna do with it. That's the reason we can't.
That's why you
object.
can't
So
qualify.
if it were housing, is that gonna affect our emergency services and things like that?
No, because City of Rawson handle our Franklin County.
What about our fire department?
EMS,
EMS?
EMS.
schools.
Schools, they go to Franklin County schools.
It'll flip
No,
that
they're
parcel
supposed to
over
roast it in
to
our
Franklin
county
County
schools.
then.
If they live in Hart County,
If they live in the city limits of Royston in Hart County, they go to Franklin County schools.
all of them,
That's
Yes,
not
sir.
true.
They
All
got
of
30,
them?
they got
That's where they're supposed to
34.
go. Now, there may be some exceptions, but that is the case.
The reason they got this new ordinance that they just started over is they got 34 units under construction right now in the city of Hartwell. That's why they went to redo their ordinances.
Royston will be responsible for fire, Royston will be responsible for law enforcement, the whole shebang.
I mean, it's nothing on us.
So then our hands are tied.
It is, because they won't tell, they didn't gotta tell us what they're gonna do with
We
it.
would have
Franklin
to have
County
a
EMS does the city of Royston.
ground.
Yes.
You would have to have a ground. I mean, it would have to qualify as material increase in the burden upon us.
But we don't know what the.
Well, I'm not even seeing if we knew what it was, that there's a burden upon us. If we don't have to provide services to it at
There
all.
is no burden, other than the townhouse density of it.
And just so you know, the City of County annexed property never even notified us, I just found out the other week.
Do what now?
The City of County has annexed property and not even notified us.
Well, they got all the liquor up there, that's
But
why.
the trailer park was not in the county, they annexed it into the city.
Well,
Well,
We have required everyone to provide a site plan and, what their proposed changes are.
The purpose,
So
yeah.
why can't we at least request that?
I did. That's what I requested from the mayor. I called the attorney that handled it. Put me in touch with the property owner. I talked to him.
But the property's in Hart County. I mean, the city of Ralston got nothing to do with the property right now. It's in Hart County. They need to provide that to the Hart County. But
But
that's
the
my.
statute doesn't require them to do that, and evidently Royston zoning doesn't require them to do that either. There are annexation process. Now, the city of Hartwell has a complete package. What we get from the city of Hartwell is because the city of Hartwell requires it.
Because the city of Royston, I mean, I know the city of Hartwell's got it like that, but the city of Royston's not like that apparently. Don't
our
require that.
options tonight is to take no action, then it will be annexed.
That's right.
Or
approve it.
we can vote to annex it.
Or you can object.
Or we can object.
You can object,
But,
without nothing to go to.
yeah,
That's what we need to do.
That's up to y'all.
'Cause I'm not a.
I'm not a
Just object and let them
Proponent
do it.
or against it either one. I'm just presenting the facts that we have.
that's our options, so.
Make a motion to object.
Give you a second.
I mean, I think we gotta say what grounds. I mean, if you don't have
Because
enough.
we do not have proper paperwork for the purpose of the property to give a good judgment on that property.
I'd add just
And that's the truth.
out of consistency.
We don't know what they're gonna do with it. They can build anything they want to on it over there, obviously.
We just gotta stay consistent, so I would like that to be a part of the motion, if you would amend your motion to put that in there.
You amend your motion?
Well, I mean, it's gonna go through anyway.
But our
I'll amend the motion
reason
to-
for our objection is because what you said plus.
I'll amend the motion and add that this board is being consistent with its past history of annexations.
When is the 45 days up?
What was the date on notification? May the 3rd.
May the 17th. when we
Yeah,
were
May
notified.
17th, we got the email.
30 days, almost.
Well, it really don't make any difference. We can't do nothing about it anyway. So like I said, if we just object to it with our reasoning, they're gonna do it anyway.
You can actually wait till the next meeting to take action.
Our objection goes to DCA, and the objection has to then give facts and circumstances and monetary burdens upon the county. This just seems to be like an anomaly. that
So it
anything
gets
else
kicked
we've
out of the
ever
door as
had
well.
because
It
it's-
just kicks that out of the door too.
well,
Whatever y'all.
Well, that's what I said a while ago, guys. Our hands are tied here.
It
I mean,
is.
there's nothing we
Oh,
can
I
do.
agree. I agree, it is.
Yeah, it's time.
Just take no action on it and let them fly.
Have you got a motion and a second?
Well, you got a motion, and a second.
Again, you got to the 25th, you
Well,
would,
Terrell said that was one of our options, then our council just got here, and she says it's not one of our options, so now we're going to have to amend the motion, it's not an option. Yeah, so that's why we went off objection, because that was one of our options, but it's not, so we might as well
I
just
mean,
take
you
that
can
off.
object if you want to, but I mean, I
But
don't
you
know
have
that.
Y'all are
to-
kind
you
of
have
using an
to-
objection in two different terms. Y'all have a moral objection to it, but the
we
objection
do.
that actually
The
has to be
legal
filed with the
objection-
DCA
There was a
has
law
to
on
have
our
legal
side.
reasoning.
Well, I rescind my motion.
Just take no action, don't need a motion for that?
Nope.
You withdraw your second?
Yeah.
All right, then we'll put it on the agenda.
Y'all on the agenda next meeting.
Right. Just take no action. Maybe we'll have some further.
I mean, I'll get back in touch with the property owner and the mayor and see if I can get more information, but I've talked to, like I say, the mayor, the attorney, and the property owner.
Get a copy of Royston's annexation ordinance with all the stuff that they require.
Okay.
Let's compare it to Hartwell so everybody can see the difference, because there's a big difference between the two.
All right. We'll move on to, Farm Road, 12F Farm Road.
Basically, what we got on Farm Road that I think y'all are aware of is the section of the road is got 18 foot of pavement. The second section, the next 7/10 of a mile don't have but 16 foot of pavement. And during our discussions, y'all, I don't remember, we told me to go ahead and do it or get estimated cost on widening that 7/10 of a mile on the other end. That estimated cost between $70,000 and $80,000. It's based on how much asphalt they're using, this, that, and other, so that's an estimate. So, but we got houses closed, let me zoom in.
So you got a chicken house farm on there, going up, right there, down to the left. There's 2 poultry houses, 2 hen houses.
Yeah, basically, it's 18 foot from here back to Red Pine Church Road, 16 foot from here on down to
Aikens, Lunsford.
So we're talking about widening this section right here. I rode out through there today. It's real close as far as the ditch line and making getting the foot in, but you're gonna have pavement there and then right off into the ditch.
And it's part of that money that the state
Yeah,
gives anyway.
this is using the state.
I'm gonna make a motion that we
Rebuilding the road part.
go ahead and widen this out while we're there. I think we're pretty sure we've
Second.
already voted on it.
Give me a second.
Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Dorsey, second by Commissioner Brown. Any other discussion? If not, we'll call for a vote. All in favor? It's a 5-0 vote. All right, we'll move on to new business. 13A, permission to advertise.
So moved for Mark Brown's open position.
Correct. Yeah, to finish out the rest of his term.
Yep.
You remember how long that term is?
4 years, I think. I think he's got like 2.
4-year terms, I'm not
2
sure
years,
where he
I
was
think.
at in his term.
He's got 2 years and some change.
I meant to look that up.
Where will this be advertised at?
We advertise it on the website and in the paper, Harleston.
Give your motion.
All right, we got a motion. We got a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bennett. Any other discussion? If not, we'll call for a vote. All in favor? It's a 5-0 vote. All right, then we'll move on to closing the Long Point for pre-4th fireworks.
I make a motion that we close it.
Second.
Give you a second.
Would it be, we'll close, let me get so the public can know, we'll close it on Friday afternoon at 9 o'clock on June the 28th. It'll be shut down till at least lunchtime Sunday, or maybe longer if we ain't got everything cleaned up by lunchtime.
All right, who made the motion?
I did.
Okay.
I second
To
it.
it.
Commissioner Dorsey, second.
Second.
I second it.
Commissioner Dorsey, second.
Commissioner Dorsey, second. Any discussion? We'll call for a vote. All in favor? It's 5-0 vote. Next, approve agreement with Snyder LLC.
Yeah, Snyder Geospatial.
Yeah.
What it is, as y'all know, my GIS specialist retired, so I hadn't had anybody in that position, hadn't been able to find anybody with the qualifications to do that. So I had Shane get in touch with Jill Snyder, which does Q-Public, to work out an agreement for them to do our parcel mapping, splits, merges, everything, so the digest to be ready. They was the logical choice because they already got all our records. We've always kept them updated. So if you'll see here, this is to do for 12 months, beginning whenever we sign this, and we kind of waited to this time to do it because that'll give us, well, they'll have to do 2 digests for the amount of money. And it's,
$17,000
yeah, the price is,
plus the 3,000.
11,
The person that retired, they were in the tax assessor's office?
no, GIS department.
Okay.
The GIS done all the mapping for the tax. They
I'll
took-
make a motion to go ahead with this, but I got one question before anybody seconds it. Is this not cheaper than replacing the employee? Why don't we just
But
do
that's
this
not all,
every year?
that's not all she done.
Well, I assumed there had to be more to the job.
Right. This is what we gotta have to get the digest approved. So this,
Yeah, I
this
got
takes
the gist
the
of all
highest
that,
importance out there. But
I
no,
was thinking-
that's not nearly all that
Yeah.
position does.
But my thoughts, if this was her job, we could probably just let this company do this
Well,
every
all
year.
right, to give you some reference, our budget this particular budget's got $5,000 in the tax assessor's office to cover her time
On this,
doing this particular,
so right now we're getting scorched.
right.
Okay.
So no, that's just part, that was just part of that position
Okay.
job.
Made a
I'll-
motion there, Commissioner Bennett.
Yes.
I'll second if you'll add, we need to authorize the chairman to sign it.
We got a second by Commissioner Dorsey. Any other discussion? If not, we'll call for a vote. All in favor? It's 5-0 vote. Now we come to the time for public comment. Anyone here that would like to address the board on a situation in the county, we'd be glad to hear from you. As long as it's not a shot at any of the commissioners or anything like that. All right.
I'll make a
We have
motion.
no more
We
vote.
exit into executive session for litigation.
Second.
Motion to adjourn into executive session by Commissioner Dorsey, second by Commissioner Brown, for litigation. All in favor? It's 5-0 vote. Thank you.